Nearly a month into the Russian invasion of Ukraine, analysts are saying most of Russia's forces have hit a wall trying to take Ukraine's major cities. The virtual impasse hasn't spared cities, though, from heavy damage. However, footage from Mariupol in southeastern Ukraine shows just how bad things are, with buildings turned to rubble and those who remain wading through it. We're joined now by Lieutenant General Richard Newton, who has been helping us sort through all of the developments from the battlefield in Ukraine. General, thanks for being with us. So what is happening now across most of the country is being described, as we just mentioned, by analysts as a stalemate, right? How does stalemates end? What are the possible scenarios going forward?
Well, good evening, Ruta Bay, and I think your assessment that you mentioned is correct. It is a stalemate. Russian forces remain bogged down, as you and I have been talking about for the last few weeks or so on this show. The challenge is, again, really the Ukrainian people are going to have to carry even a more heavy load in terms of Putin upping his ante and continuing his force of terror of civilian atrocities. But that said, again, it shows the resiliency, not only of the Ukrainian people, but certainly the Ukrainian military. And so, again, we're going to see more of this, I think, as the next several days or so. But it is key that he remains bogged down and he continues to focus on Kyiv as his center of gravity. The target for him remains key, and certainly trying to capture or kill President Zelensky. But leading up to that, he is really bogged down right now.
And Zelensky continuing to, I'm sure as he sees it, taunt him with these videos and his outspoken messages, even directly to the Russian people, directly to the people of Israel. And Putin obviously hasn't fared well, or as well as he would have hoped in this adventure. How will his failures change his tactics and his actions going forward?
Well, his failures to date, certainly in the battlefield, but also in the geopolitical narrative, as you allude to, are significant. So he has a number of audiences he has to play to. Obviously, his own military, which again is several days off their timeline. They're short of food and water, need resupply. Also, the Russian people. He staged this address in a stadium a few days or so ago, where reportedly they paid $5 a person to attend. But he's trying to maintain a narrative here that he is on the offense, where really he's on the defense. What this will compel him to do, Ruta Bay, is to raise the ante in terms of he'll continue to escalate. And as we've talked about before, he will try to escalate in order to de-escalate. He's trying to control the situation. An example was he fired for the first time, a hypersonic missile at Mach 5, reportedly from a MiG-31 aircraft at a target in western Ukraine that hit a Ukrainian ammo and weapons depot. But that is the level of raising the ante here that he is compelled and forced to do.
And according to the U.S. and Western intelligence estimates, 1,000 Russian troops a day are being killed or injured. How could such a powerful army fail at basic logistics? You just mentioned not having food, not having basic necessities.
Well, I can't verify 1,000 per day, but I can tell you this. My sources tell me that the number of them killed in action is between 7,000 and 10,000 and growing. They have failed in a number of areas. First off, strategic planning. They took 5 attack corridors, again, with a army that not necessarily was manned to go into 5. They should have perhaps focused on just one, and that being key. But that said, they have failed in logistics. Logistics are really for professionals, and they're not showing much of a professional force capable of employing infantry, much less the logistics and supply chain required to keep this force effectively capable with food and water and ammunition and so forth. So logistics and supply have been, again, a very significant shortfall, as well as with the Ukrainian military being very apt in terms of targeting their supply chains, targeting the infantry in the field and so forth. So they've kept not only the Russian forces on their toes, but they've pushed back significantly in that regard.
And I want to talk to you, before I let you go, about military strategy on both sides, both the Russian and Ukrainian sides. The no-fly zone Ukraine has been begging for is a no-go, but the Ukrainians have been somewhat successful in using these weapons provided by the U.S. and other countries. And then on the Russian side, they have gained some ground, albeit slowly and with a lot of casualties.
They have. The Russians have gained actually very little ground. In fact, they have yet to capture a major city. Mariupol may be the first one. But with regard to the Ukrainians, again, they're being able to use their capabilities, but also this $800 million package that President Biden signed off on just a few days or so ago will be significant with air defense, with Stingers, with Javelin, and also with some drones that we can talk about later. But it's a significant, again, addition to the Ukrainian forces right now that I think will play a key part, not only in the next several days, but perhaps in the next several weeks. And more to follow on that.
All right, and we have many more questions for you coming up in the next hour. Lieutenant General Richard Newton, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.